You've managed Grammy winners. You've had this extensive career really spanning the globe. How do you see that people who are successful access, utilize, leverage creativity in their life, in their work? And how is that really the differentiator?
I think creativity is it's a way of living. I mean, if I was to ask your listeners just now, what percentage of you consider yourself to be creative? In the US, it's going to be about 50%. If you have listeners here in like South Korea or Japan, it's going to be as low as 10%. So it's different. But what I would say is I genuinely believe that everyone is born with almost unlimited creative potential. It's what you do over the course of your life with it that's actually important. And creativity is actually becoming even more important now because of artificial intelligence, because a lot of AI will take away some of the non-creative tasks that we currently do in our jobs. So if you look at like the World Economic Forum, they interviewed 1,000 global business leaders recently, and they said for them, creativity is the skill that will be increasing most in importance. If you look at LinkedIn, the number one soft skill that employers are looking for today is creativity. So creativity, I think is we're all born with it, but for many of us, we feel like it's left us, or it's maybe something, or we assume that creativity is purely with the arts or music or something like that. But I primarily talk about creativity as it relates to business.
I recall a conversation I had where I had heard that the band Aerosmith, and I'm paraphrasing here, they had something called like no sucky ideas on Monday or something like that. And everybody came in, whether it was truly a Monday or not, and they had like these just swing out these crazy ideas. And a couple of songs came, Love in the Elevator, a
Yeah.
couple of songs came from that. And, I'm interested, Korea, Japan, roughly 10%, North America, 50%. And as we get older, I'm sure the number reduces, but it's like, what do you think happens? What's going on there? You ask a kindergartner if they're an artist and they all raise their hand. You ask somebody who's in their last year of secondary school and maybe you get a 10% number or something like that. What do you think happens there?
So part of it is just the way that our brain develops as we get older. So as children, we're in what's called the pre-conventional stage. So often you see children there with their painting that's quite abstract, or the words they're using is kind of abstract more. And then what happens is they go to school and they're taught useful conventions. And so you see their artwork, for example, change. They draw more buildings and things, and that's all fine. And then we go to school, we go to college, university, and we're told these are the guideposts, these are the signposts, and that's fine. It's part of becoming conventional in the work we do. But then as adults, we have to kind of go beyond that to becoming that kind of what we call post-conventional. So we're willing to look at all these signposts the way it should be done as useful things, but we're also willing to challenge them. And I think the thing that really, if I look at all the most creative people I've ever had the chance to work with or collaborate with, the one probably thing that links them all is this sense of curiosity.
Mm.
And that can be from some of the world's top scientists, top AI, people from AI backgrounds, or musicians, or top entrepreneurs or business leaders. Having that sense of curiosity is so important. In fact, I just read the other day, Julie Sweet, who's the CEO of Accenture. She was asked what skills does she hire for now in her leaders, and she said, "I look for two things. I look for their leadership skills, their ability to lead and inspire others. But secondly, I look for their curiosity, which is their ability to ask questions." So I think that curiosity piece is increasingly important. And what's often happened is kind of knocked out of us depending on where you're educated or how you're educated. I think it's changing now, which is great. I'm seeing a lot of great education systems that are now trying to embrace that creativity that we're born with and really develop that. Even places like India, which for many, many years, the problem in the Indian education system is it was just churning out loads of MBAs, loads of
Yeah,
engineers.
very
And they
rote.
realized that there wasn't, come up with an idea and develop the idea to create something extraordinary and innovative. And there was a challenge there. So they actually went back to the drawing board and they created a more holistic education system. So I think those are one of the things. But then I think probably the other component of this, why most of the people I deal with, like leaders in organizations, why they don't consider themselves to be creative is they've been told a few myths about what creativity is, and that often holds them back. And one of the biggest myths is something that the media portray all the time, which is the myth of the lone creative genius. the idea of that CEO on the front cover of the business magazine has kind of single-handedly built that business.
Or
But that's
as I've heard you say, the stage on the stage.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's just, and I think it's a very easy narrative. And I'm a storyteller, so I love telling stories, and it's a very simple story to tell. If you just say, that, for example, in the US, like Elon Musk, Tesla. But I mean, Elon didn't create Tesla; it was the two other founders who created Tesla. But that's a more complicated story. Or if you look at the most innovative organizations, you might have some key leaders within that, but it's very much a team effort.